Welcome to
Hi,
Tzipi,
hi,
Tzipi
Tzili.
Ben Hagari, video artist. Ben just curated and participated in an exhibition that he did in the Herzliya Museum in Israel. But and we'll talk a little bit about it. But Ben, tell us first, where do you teach? Where do you work? What do you do? And then we'll take it from there.
Thank you for inviting me to Tzuzamen. I'm an artist, primarily working with video and installation, and I teach at Yale School of Art and at the School of Visual Arts in New York. I actually want to say before we start that I know Tzili from my childhood. My mother, Shula Hagari, worked in the theater for many years, and growing up in the theater very much shaped the way I think and work as an artist, and influenced by the world of theater.
Unfortunately, Shula is not with us anymore, and but Ben is here and very talented, and he has great works.
So in Israel you teach or only here?
So I moved to New York 10 years ago and to study the MFA program at Columbia University.
Okay.
And before I moved, I studied at the Midrasha and also taught the Midrasha for several years.
The Midrasha is an art school in outside of Tel Aviv. But let's go to the exhibition in
Herzliya. So if we started to talk about teaching, I would say that I want to mostly talk today about the show that's right now is happening at the Herzliya Museum, which is called On Point in English. I think the title in Hebrew is better because it has additional meanings. In Hebrew, it's called Al Kolo Shel Chod.
Wow.
Which refers to saying
nice,
Al Chodo Shel Kod.
Yeah, it's a nice title.
And
it's a very unusual exhibition, if I may say, very refreshing.
But we have to see it
very fresh,
to know what you're talking
different.
about.
Yeah, so let us see it.
So I would just say that the show emerged or somewhat connected to the teaching, to a class that I started to teach at Columbia several years ago, which evolved around print and animation, or more broadly, handmade moving images.
Right.
So this photo is called The Animator, and it's a collaboration with the artist George Weinberg, artist based in Brooklyn, New York. This is the image, the work that the first piece in the exhibition On Point. In this picture, it's kind of a self-portrait as an animator. The composition for it, or the reference for it, came from these photographs of animators at Walt Disney Studio, where they were looking at themselves in the mirror to create expression for the animated cartoons, whether it was an animal or a figure or even like a plant. They would do kind of funny faces in front of the mirror and try to recapture that expression. And yeah, this is a photograph. We'll see a few of those photographs of kind of like this viewer looking at the exhibition, which is kind of like the animator came out from the photograph and kind of traveling in the show, which was something I was thinking about, kind of to create the experience of traveling in the exhibition, of walking in the exhibition, as kind of like an animated sequence. The next animator in the show, which is just across from that photograph, is perhaps the first animated sequence on film. It's called The Enchanted Drawing by James Stewart Blackton for the Addison Laboratory. In it, we see this animator working on a piece of paper, drawing a figure, object, and then all of a sudden, as an act of magic, removes the drawings from the paper, and there's this dialogue between things that are happening outside the paper and inside the paper, live action, meaning kind of performance to the camera, and animation, animated sequences. I wanted to open also with this because there's I'm not going to show every piece in the show. There's many artists. It's a group exhibition which I was invited as an artist curator, and it includes some historical works. Among them is this piece made in the Edison laboratory, which is just where the camera was first developed, and going back to kind of where animation emerged, or handmade moving images emerged. And the way that the historical works are shown is kind of my interpretation as an artist. For example, the film we just saw that's happening on an easel is shown in the exhibition on this kind of sculptural easel. The film is kind of jumping from itself outside to the exhibition. This is another piece that's called Automata Theater. It looks into a movable books as another way, as another junction or journey in which images started to move before the film camera existed. And in this piece, I focus on the work of a German illustrator called Luther Magendorfer, who was a pioneer in creating movable books. Kind of later, we call them pop-ups, but pop-ups usually has more connotation of a three-dimensional book, which Magendorfer also did. But these books are all pull tabs. If you see the tabs below, if you push them or if you pull them, something moves in the character. There's a kind of complicated paper engineering of different characters, animals, professions. Excuse me, I'm going to share again.
What technique this is?
I can talk as this. I just wanted you to hear a second of the music, which was beautifully composed by a musician called Matt Bowder. I shot this piece at the Beinecke Library at Yale University, which is a Beinecke Beinecke is a rare book library, and this is all just as you're seeing. There's no stop motion animation involved. It's just the paper is being pushed by the tab. But the way that it is shot is from this kind of extreme close-ups. So we can't really see how it is done. It looks like animation. It looks like it's coming to life. And there's new relationship being formed between the...
So who did it? Who did it? Who is the artist?
Luther Magendorfer in 1890. For the Hebrew viewers, I thought to read the preface, what he wrote at the beginning of the book, for the young audience that were watching it. ילדים וילדות, קשו אלום, קרבו לראות, אוטומטים מצחיקים מעצמם מתנועעים. הם זזים כמותך, כמוך, רק צריך נייר למשוך. אז פלאי פלאים תראו, שכמעט לא יאמנו, גם חיות, גם בני אדם, וממש חיים כולם. אם תהיו רק זהירים, ישמחו אתכם שנים.
My kids had those books. So when you moved, you could move so we made this technique for a long time ago. נכון? Yeah.
And it's quite perversive at some points. I mean, this was kind of like very friendly and I think very, but it goes, the video as a piece focuses kind of, or it goes in a journey that is from a more friendly, sweet to the more perversive imagery. And even though this was not just for kids, and it's a lot about stereotypes.
Right.
I saw the show. I saw the exhibition when it opened, and it's a beautiful show. I think everybody should go and see it. It's a lot. They have many nice pieces. Ben, tell us a little bit about the piece behind you.
Okay.
He's like very famous.
I'm gonna go a little bit with the exhibition. So this is a piece by Kiki Smith, an American artist, and it's connected. It's just shown against the Magendorfer film we just watched, because it's another way of how a contemporary artist thinks about movable books. This is in the format of an accordion, and it kind of tells the story of Red Riding Hood, Kippa Aduma,
Red Riding Hood,
but kind of presenting some sort of a harmony between the the young girl and the wolf.
Yes. But it's interesting that her coat is red, and red is a very,
But this is a Kippah Aduma,
I know,
the Little Red
but
Riding
everything
Hood.
is black and white.
There's a lot of black and white in the show, because I think there's a lot of historical, but there's also, I should have mentioned that maybe early on, there's a lot of, and the Kiki Smith is one of these works. It's also in partnership with Columbia University, with the Leroy Neiman Center for Print Studies at Columbia, and I worked there closely with Thomas Vo and Samantha Ripner. And
Know the names.
on view many works from the study center made by artists that came to create work at the print shop at Columbia. And this is additions from the variety of printing techniques that the artists did with master printer at the print shop. And the way that works from this collection is shown is making a connection between the films and works on paper. The relationship between moving image and works on paper. This is a film from 1935 by German artist called Lotte Reiniger. Lotte Reiniger invented the stop motion technique for silhouette, for shadow animation. The film is called Papageno, and it's around Mozart's magic flute, the bird catcher. I want to show you that the way that the film is shown is very different from, or I mean, it's not just a film, it's part of an installation that was created for On Point. And it's based on a drawing I found by Reiniger of how a modern shadow theater should look. Something that was likely by speaking with scholars, shadow scholars, something that she never saw or realized. Her drawing kind of was printed in life size, and the film was a rare projection. Just a few seconds of the...
You know, but it reminds me of William Kentridge, you know?
Definitely the technique that Kentridge, and I'm sure Kentridge is been influenced by Lotte Reiniger.
Right.
This kind of way of... Kentridge is also in the exhibition, not with his animations, but with works from the Columbia University, a series of typewriters.
Right.
This is
So
just kind of...
you can tell us what to this genre, but what's going on now? What's happening now? Because up to now you showed us,
Yeah, it's true. The exhibition kind of looks at the handmade moving images, which are all techniques. Yeah, in a moment I will show you kind of how the exhibition ends, and it ends with a new film that I've created. But you asked what about now also. So before I get to a new film or to a new way of working with animation, this is a relatively new work by Kara Walker, American artist, that is very much resembles the shadows we just saw from Lotte Reiniger from the 30s, but this is all work that deal with other kind of shadows or other kind of black, and much more relevant to the here and now and to the history of America, and to slavery. So this is shown at the exhibition just across. So kind of it's a room with very different kind of approaches to making shadows. Another historical point of view is peep shows. Peep show is a form that started in the 17th century, where wandering showmen carried machine boxes on their backs from village to village, and they would cry, "Who want to see the new world?" And the peep show offered worlds that were kind of beyond the reach of the viewers, something that the people in the village had never seen before, whether it was kind of an historical event, an earthquake, a fantasy. The showman would kind of call the whether it was young audience or older audience, and kind of the performance of the showman was great part of it, with his voice and with music and sometimes with animals. Here is we get to see the inside view of kind of a later peep show from the 18th century by a German artist called Martin Engelbrecht, showing kind of an image of an earthquake.
All German names, no?
This is not in the show, but this is just to give you some of my way of thinking and how this was kind of part of like also my teaching. But in the show is included a paper peep show I did. By the way, also peep show, of course, became more erotic in the 20th century. So usually when even like saying peep show, this is usually the connotation, but it didn't start that way. And peep show is also connected to how images move. This is a phanescetoscope, a disc that when you turn it and you look through the holes, you look through the slits.
How the motion picture started.
The very first film by Edison
were
intended to be viewed as kind of a peep show, as a peephole, for just one viewer at a time.
Ben, can you take us from this to your videos?
Yes, and this is my paper peep show, but it's in the show at Herzliya.
Yeah,
which doesn't offer one perspective of one space, but you can see kind of an image of kind of a portrait of me there in the first layer, being split by a magician, and then it goes through outdoor to indoor to theater. And this is a paper work by artist Sarah Z from the collection of Colombia, which is this notepad that was lasered to create this architectural space of a New York house with the fire escape.
Okay.
And this is now I'm going to my film that concludes the also the exhibition. It's called I Pencil, and it's a film that starts from the graphite in a way.
From the what?
From graphite,
Okay.
the lead of ferret.
Okay.
And it was shot primarily in a pencil factory in Shelbyville, Tennessee, in what used to be called Pencil City, USA. It used to be the city where many pencil factories used to be, and now there's only one that survived or remained, Musgrave Pencil Factory. And the film follows the creation of one pencil. It's a pencil that kind of doesn't follow in a way the order of the machine. It arrives late, it doesn't get painted, it falls off, and then at the once it's formed and once it's sharpened, it falls down and it starts to move by itself. And a young girl or a girl discovers it, and a dance scene begins. I have a 2-minute clip if you want to see from it. If we
let's see.
The entire film is 16 minutes. So for those that will go to the museum,
no, let's see 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Girl coming?
So the
Go to the
music is
museum.
beautifully composed by Matt Bowder.
Very nice. This is beautiful.
Mhm.
Voila.
Beautiful.
Yofi.
Ben, let's go to the piece behind you because we don't have much time left and I don't want to miss it.
Sure.
Tell us about the piece behind you.
Please
Yes,
look.
the piece behind me is part of a project called The Backside. And the backside centers around a figure that kind of lost its face, or a figure that kind of appears with no face, faceless. And it's with kind of this born into kind of like this limitation without having eyes or face, eyes or nose or mouth, and it attempts to communicate in other ways with the viewers, and it's also this finding this challenge of how to make a film where the eyes are such an important component in identifying with the audience, with kind of setting kind of a tone or setting kind of an emotional response, and what happens if it's not there. But it's also a lot about the figure in this film is in constant cleaning activities.
Can you show us a little bit?
Sure. The backside. So there's an installation, a video, and a series of photographs.
The pens are worn the opposite. Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
front is in the back, right?
It's dressed
Very nice.
dressed reverse. It walks backwards,
Right.
and it's like also this uncomfortable movements trying to.
Can you click faster? Can you click
sure.
faster between the pictures? Okay, like 3 seconds each.
אני לא יכולה לערוך את זה.
Some of the gestures are about erasing and cleaning.
Wow.
Some of it is about looking for the missing part of the face in the objects or in domestic space around it. Some of it is kind of this absurd situations, or kind of like a dreamlike moments.
Wow.
All this was shown on the big screen in the building in Zaz. It was beautiful.
It was shown at Times Square just when it was created, and this like didn't get into the film, but some of it were created. The project was primarily created during the pandemic. I had the idea some years before, but it kind of made sense to work on it
While you're
at home. I usually create sets for my films or crafted environments, but for this film, in a way, suddenly things it made sense to shoot it really at my apartment. You see that the books have no titles,
Right.
and I think things are, and I think also this character is constantly kind of in shame, but it's also the power of doing things you cannot do normally or regularly, that you can do from your backside. I was just thinking about Jonathan Geffen passed away, and there's this song that I kept on hearing during the מי שמביט בי מאחור לא יודע מי אני.
Yeah, if whoever looks at me from the back doesn't know who I am. From behind, yeah.
It's funny and sad.
Yeah.
Kind of, and I'm very much interested in general in tragic comedies. I think this is the last photo that I have.
It's beautiful.
And it will be shown this summer at Gordon Gallery.
Okay, Gordon Gallery in Israel.
In Jaffa.
Yeah. Well, it looks like if you're in Israel, you can see Ben's work both in Gordon Gallery and in the Herzliya Museum. And hopefully you'll do something soon in Zaz again, so people can see you here once more. Ben, thank you.
It was really
beautiful work.
enlightening.
And
beautiful, huh?
see you all next week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both.